Hello. My name is Carlin Luciani, and I am currently an undergraduate student here at the University of Guelph. I would like to welcome you to the college. There are 3 exits for those of you seated on the floor. For those on the left side of the floor, you can exit through the door behind you, up the stairs, and outside. For those of you on the right side, there are exits at the front and back of the room. Should the need arise, the ushers will direct you to your nearest exit from the building. Now, back to the convocation. The University of Guelph is honored by our graduates, and we take great pride in this convocation. In order to allow full attention on convocation, please silence your phones and electronic devices. Our colleagues from Alumni Affairs are hosting a social media program developed especially for convocation. Please share your photos, memories, and advice with graduating students by joining us on social media and using the hashtag #GuelphGrad. The ceremonials used for conferring degrees have evolved over a millennium, and the gowns and hoods represent that history. In general, the gowns for the baccalaureate and the magisteriate degrees are black, and the color of the hood is different for each degree program. The doctorates at the University of Guelph have a bright blue gown, and the honorary degrees are red. The University of Guelph crest that you can see on the screen beside me and shown in the convocation program also represents our specific history. The emblems in the crest show links with the royal city of Guelph through the white stallion above, the connection to liberal arts through the book, to the sciences through the astrolabe, and our connection to abundance and agriculture through the cornucopia. The University of Guelph motto, Rerum cognoscere causis, is a quote from Virgil. It is variously translated to be either, happy is the one who is able to ascertain the reason of things, or perhaps to know the meaning of things. The procession of people into the hall are also influenced by ancient tradition. The piper will herald the start of the procession of graduates, the students who are coming to graduate today. This will be followed by the arrival of the mace leading the platform party. The mace is a symbol of authority of the university and will be carried by the beadle. In medieval universities, a beadle was chosen by the instructor to work as an assistant. Today, the beadle is the ceremonial officer of Senate. Following the beadle and mace is the Chancellor, President, members of the administration and the honorees, fellows of the university, members of the board and Senate, and members of faculty and staff. The degrees will be conferred in the order that you see in your program. The degrees are separated by categories representing the specific degree being awarded within the college. We will begin with the doctorates and magisteriates, followed by the baccalaureate degrees. The name reader will present scholars to the Chancellor and President by degree category. As the name of each student is called, the beadle will place the hood over the recipient's shoulders. This moment will be captured, and technology willing, there will be a simultaneous live webcast of the event to allow family members and friends to watch from a distance. The President will greet each student at center stage, and a photograph will be taken. We understand the joy and excitement accompanying such an auspicious occasion, but we ask that you hold your applause until after each group of graduates has crossed the stage. There will be an opportunity for a truly thunderous applause. Once all the degrees are conferred and all the cheers are cheered, the Chancellor will close the ceremony and a recessional will play. Again, please take a moment to silence your electronic devices. Please remain standing during the recessional until all the platform party has processed out of the hall, and then remain at your seat for a brief closing announcement about the reception that follows. Finally, may I be the first person to congratulate the graduates on their various successes and offer my congratulations to the family and friends who are here to support them. Welcome to Convocation at the University of Guelph.
As we gather today to celebrate these graduands, we pause and reflect on our place in this world. We begin by acknowledging that the University of Guelph resides on the ancestral territory of the Attawandaron people and the treaty lands of the Mississaugas of the Credit. And we offer our respect to their Haudenosaunee, Anishinaabe, and Métis neighbors as we strengthen our relationships with them. On this day that marks an end of a journey, we give thanks for friends and family who have walked with us, and we are grateful for the classmates, faculty, staff, mentors, and administrators who have supported and led us on our way. I invite you, each in your own way, to take a moment of silence to recognize that for which you are grateful, or to offer a prayer. As you graduands leave this university and embark on a new journey, may the knowledge you gleaned here be coupled with wisdom, that together we all might contribute to the flourishing of this world. May wonder and compassion motivate you to marvel at and investigate our rapidly changing world and to enhance the sustainability of all things. May our world resonate with peace. Amen. I invite you to be seated.
Welcome. Good afternoon. I am delighted to officially open the Spring 2018 University of Guelph Convocation ceremonies and welcome everyone here. President Vaccarino, members of the board, honorary fellows, faculty, staff, family, and friends of the graduates, as we celebrate the achievements of our graduating students. I'd like to offer a particular welcome to today's special award recipients, who will be introduced to you more formally in a few moments. My name is Martha Billis, and I have the honor of serving as Chancellor here at the University of Guelph. It is an honor to be here at my alma mater as Chancellor, particularly during Convocation. Convocation is one of those rare moments where we glimpse past, present, and future all at once. I liken it to a bit of a magic carpet ride. It's a ride that takes us forward and backward at the same time. Forward because today, graduands, you will be walking across this stage and into your individual and collective futures. Even if you can't quite discern what that future will be, and that's okay. Looking back, I can say that the path which brought me to this spot today is not at all what I thought could ever be possible as I crossed the Convocation stage. I wondered, as I suppose you must be wondering, what will my tomorrow look like? What I could see then was that there was room only for my two brothers at the growing company of which my father was president. And certainly no room in the company boardroom. Indeed, that was the standard back then, the old boys network of the day. So off I went to begin my career with a job in a research lab at Lever Brothers and after that at the Ontario Research Foundation. Some years later, I chose to earn my teaching certificate. Not until 1980, which was 17 years after graduating, did I join Canadian Tire, and I entered upstairs into the corporate boardroom. My father had resigned his board position to make a place for me. From that moment on, my path was far from linear. My life had a total reset. My future was expanding, and my dreams had acquired the room to evolve. Now, 38 years since joining the company board, I am thrilled and amazed by the success of the evolution of my life as well as of my dreams. If there is a lesson here, it is that life does not always go according to plan. And oh my, there is pain and deep anguish. However, coming out of that, what astounding opportunities sometimes do appear. For myself, I've been the thread which has kept an iconic Canadian retail company strong, Canadian, and expanding. Imbued with strong social values, we dreamed up a successful way to help needy kids across our great country gain access to sport and activities. We named the charity Jumpstart, in keeping with the company's automotive roots. Many here today will already know of Jumpstart's recent national recognition. Please bear with me. It occurred several weeks ago. In honor of Duchess Meghan and Prince Harry's nuptials, by virtue of Canada's royal wedding gift of funds to Jumpstart, each and every Canadian is now a part of the Jumpstart success. Who could have ever dreamed up something like this? It really is happening. Needless to say, no way does this line up within the scope of my wildest dreams. Wow. So, for you graduates, what will be your plan from here? You've demonstrated a desire to learn and to use that learning well. You have a degree from one of the top comprehensive and research-intensive universities in Canada, one which is today solving major world challenges. You have developed relationships that will last your lifetime. You have dreams. You are ambitious. My advice, graduates, be more ambitious. You truly can accomplish so much more than is even imaginable. You guys have everyone here rooting for you. It's your turn today. Your turn to make a difference. Your turn to jump in with both feet, to aim for the farthest horizon. Oh, guess what? You'll never get there. And my friends, therein lies the challenge. You just keep on achieving, one dream to the next, and
well, thank you, Chancellor Billis, for those thoughtful and truly inspirational remarks. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Franco Vaccarino, and I have the honor and the privilege of serving as President and Vice Chancellor of this great university. Welcome all of you to Convocation. First off, graduates, this is your big day. You've worked hard, you've persevered, and you've made it. Congratulations. Well done. So today you share something in common. You're all University of Guelph graduates, about to join our University of Guelph alumni family of some 167,000 Griffins from around 150 countries worldwide. And you're preparing for the next step on your journey. And I'd like to pick up on a theme that our Chancellor was highlighting, and that is plans and planning. So how many of you have plans for the summer? Whether it's work, travel, more studies, or downtime? Yeah, raise your hand. About 2/3, 3/4. How many have no plans whatsoever? Don't be shy. There we go. There's always a couple, and I suspect there's 10 more who didn't raise their hand. Now, here's another question. How many have a 5-year plan? Have a longer-term plan, a 5-year plan? It's about a third of the class. Now, let's stick with that number, 4 or 5 years, but this time go back in time. How many of you had a plan when you started out as students, about 4 or 5 years ago, when you first arrived here on campus? How many of you had a plan? All right, about half the class. And how many of you had your plans totally altered somehow during these past few years? Exactly. We get more hands raised in the second question than the first, which is interesting. So how about those plans? Well, during those recent years, your years here as students, you've learned, you've worked, and you've lived at one of Canada's top research-intensive and comprehensive universities. You've learned, of course, about your own chosen areas of study. Likely you've gained knowledge and understanding about other things as well. Yourselves, each other, the wider world, both here on campus and beyond. And along the way, along your journey, many of the things you learned and experienced have probably been a surprise or unexpected. And it's that unexpected piece that poses a challenge for plans. Maybe you took a course that changed the way you look at certain things. Or maybe you encountered a course or a professor or a friend or fellow student whose influence even led you to change your degree program or your plans entirely. Or maybe you just mistakenly walked into the wrong room on your first day of class. Anybody done that? It was just me? No? There we go. We had a couple there. So I'm in the same club. So that happened to me at the beginning of my 3rd year as an undergraduate at the University of Toronto. It was the first day of class in that 3rd year, and I walked into what I thought was the social psychology lab course. This was a class I'd signed up for because I had planned to major in psych, and it was a requirement in social psychology, actually. It was the first day of the lab class, and I was late for class. The class had already begun, so I walked into the room. I kept my head down and went straight to the first available seat. It turned out that I had walked into absolutely the wrong room and the wrong lab class. And the reason I figured that out very quickly was because when I eventually lifted my head, on the counter was a brain, like an actual brain. And that's not something you would typically find in a social psych lab. This was the neuroscience lab class. Now, at that point, I might have just simply gotten up and left, and believe me, I considered doing that. But to tell you the truth, I was a little shy and uncomfortable. I had kind of disrupted the class already, coming in late, sat down. It wasn't a big class, and I felt a little bit uncomfortable getting up and distracting the class. But in addition to that, I started reflecting on my situation. This kind of situation. What are the chances I'd end up sitting in on a neuroscience class? So I thought it actually might be cool to sit in on this introductory neuroscience lab course, thinking that this was probably the only time I would certainly ever get a taste of neuroscience. So I decided to stay for this one class, thinking I'd catch up in my social class the following week. Well, what happened was the class completely blew me away. The professor teaching that class totally blew me away. This was completely unexpected, and the rest, as they say, is history. I ended up shifting to studying neuroscience as an undergraduate and eventually enjoying an amazing and gratifying career as a professor of psychology and neuroscience for the last 34 years. Years later, here I am at the University of Guelph. Along with my duties as president, I continue to work examining the nature and impact of the brain changes associated with alcohol and drug dependence, as well as mental illness, and am involved in various national and global initiatives in the field of mental health and addiction and the neuroscience of those disorders. So what's the point of all this? Well, there are plans, and then there's planning and responding to those unexpected moments. Moments that sometimes may be opportunities. Now, it's important to stress that having a plan is important. Like the University of Guelph strategic framework, this is the strategic plan for the university as a whole. It's an institutional plan that's given the university important goals and guideposts for our journey. And a plan's important because it gives you a sense of direction at a point in time. But a plan is static, while planning and responding to opportunity is dynamic. It's what allows you to keep moving and adapting your plans as things change around you. And they will absolutely change around you. The unexpected will definitely happen. We live today in a world of unprecedented rapid change with an ever shorter, what I like to call, shelf life of knowledge and information. It's getting shorter and shorter as new information continues to accumulate and replace existing information at an unprecedented pace. So situations and contexts change more rapidly now than ever. Today, how you adapt your planning and respond to the unexpected, including those unexpected detours or change of direction, matters a great deal. It's also surprising what you can notice when you slow down in the face of the unexpected. And really the message here is when those moments happen, embrace, reflect on, and think about, and even savor those unexpected moments. Really, I'm talking about discovery, process of discovery. Discovery that comes from paying close attention to the unexpected. It's not just the unexpected that creates discovery, it's paying close attention when that happens. You know, it's interesting to me that the word disruption used to have a generally negative connotation. And today, we think of disruption caused by the unexpected as a creative opportunity to learn, to grow, to innovate. Think of the times in your lives that you consider as defining moments. A few of those I'm sure were planned, but I suspect that many, if not most, of those moments were not. And they may have felt very disruptive. Those aha moments that caused you to kind of rethink things. Now, I suspect that many of you here will understand and appreciate the importance of adjusting and adapting to the unexpected. But here's the tough question. How do you prepare, how do we prepare or train for that? How do you prepare and train for the unexpected? And that's where we come back to the past few years for each of you here today. You know, one of the unsung benefits of education is its ability to broaden your view of things, to broaden your view. We tend to take this for granted. But a question worth asking is, why is it that a broadened view is necessarily a good thing? Why is that? Well, I would suggest that it's necessarily a very good thing because, quite simply, a broadened view brings with it greater mental capacity to bring to bear on issues in your life, issues of the day, and to bring to bear on the unexpected, whether it's good or bad. A broadened view equals, in many ways, a broadened mental capacity. That broadened view that you've developed here the last few years is basically your enhanced toolkit. Your enhanced toolkit, that enhanced mental capacity that allows you to connect the dots in your life in powerful and in interesting ways. And don't lose sight of that. That you have it. You have that toolkit. It's part of what we mean when we talk about nurturing the whole student here at the University of Guelph. And it goes beyond academics alone. We've provided here opportunities for each of you to broaden your capacity in other ways, socially, emotionally, and physically as well. Here at the University of Guelph, we've given you not just the knowledge and information that's important for you to hold, but the tools to prepare and respond to change, and ultimately to help you thrive amid what will be inevitable uncertainty. So, as you head out into that wider world, certainly take time to plan. And then be open to adapting your plan, even if it means finding opportunities masquerading as a wrong room or a wrong turn. Thank you very much, and good luck on your journey. All the best.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Belinda Leach. I'm the Associate Dean for Research and Graduate Studies in the College of Social and Applied Human Sciences. Madam Chancellor, on the recommendation of the Senate of the University of Guelph, it is a great honor to present to you the candidates Bob Minette and Doug Minette for the degree of Doctor of Laws honoris causa. Bob Minette and Doug Minette have contributed to arts, business, and community in Guelph and Canada, and have demonstrated a commitment to nurturing knowledge, understanding, and inclusivity. In 1973, they co-founded the Bookshelf Bookstore, a community resource that has become an essential stop for Canadian book releases and a cornerstone of literature, films, and ideas. In 1988, they publicly denounced censorship and advocated for freedom to read. The Bookshelf has advanced many elements of the University of Guelph's mission, including co-hosting cafes and providing book launches and speaking engagements for university writers and lecturers. Ms. Minette and Mr. Minette have partnered with U of G to promote free speech and advance Indigenous reconciliation. They have supported institutions in the broader community with strong links to the university, including the Eden Mills Writers' Festival, the Guelph Lecture on Being Canadian, the CBC Massey Lectures, and the Guelph Festival of Moving Media. Individually, Ms. Minette and Mr. Minette have been recognized for contributing thousands of hours to the arts and business communities in and beyond Guelph. Their active leadership and engagement with local, Canadian, and international cultural life and contemporary issues, including their long-standing partnership with the University of Guelph, make Bob Minette and Doug Minette deserving of a joint honorary degree. Madam Chancellor, I ask that you confer upon Bob Minette and Doug Minette the degree of Doctor of Laws honoris causa.
By the authority of the Senate of the University of Guelph, I admit you both to the degree of Doctor of Laws honoris causa. Congratulations. Return for photographs. Very good. You are popular. Don't sit down, just stay where you are. I am pleased to invite Dr. Barb and Dr. Doug Minette to give the convocation address, please.
Hello, I am coming back in my next life as a taller person. This always happens. Madam Chancellor, President Vaccarino, Provost Yates, faculty, graduates, family, and friends, we are so honored to be here. Has anyone ever told you to mind your own business? It wasn't very pleasant, was it? Usually, this remark is a put-down made by someone who who believes that they have the power to control how you think, speak, and act. The most shocking time this was said to me was after my first year of university. I was working for the summer in Toronto at what was then called a reform school for girls. One day, I was asked to serve a meal to a prisoner in solitude. I unlocked the door to find a young Indigenous girl in the middle of scratching her arms with a safety pin. It was a scorching day. There was no airflow in the room. She was clearly in so much pain, both physically and emotionally. I immediately went to the nun in charge, pleading that it was wrong to treat a person like this. In fact, it had to be a sin. Her rigid and controlled response was, "Mind your own business." This left me shocked, confused, and angry. This is my most extreme example, but both Doug and I, when we were exactly your age, were having trouble fitting who we were into a job that allowed us to feel at home. So we took a few months off to travel in England and immediately fell in love with the bookshops there. They were beacons of culture and sanity. When we returned to the real world, we had intense conversations daily about what to do with our lives. With the paradigm of independent bookshops embedded in our consciousness, we thought, why not? Why not really and truly mind our own business by starting a bookstore, one which embodied who we were? And so after intense planning, the very crucial support of our parents, and against the opinions of many who worked in the publishing industry, we opened our first bookstore in 1973. I would be lying if I said that it has been easy. We've had too many challenges to mention in this short speech, but I can sum it up in 3 words. Capitalism likes big. And we weren't. The chains amalgamated, big box stores boomed and then busted. Technological change and e-commerce have since put incredible strains on small retailers. But we were also lucky back then. It was the golden age of Canadian publishing. Great writers like Margaret Atwood, Michael Ondaatje, and Alison Monroe were making it cool to read Canadian and to be Canadian. And our customers were our collaborators. We were in it together. A few years later, we plunged into the restaurant business, knowing absolutely nothing about it, and became the first bookstore cafe in Canada, serving food we cared about. And again, almost a decade after that, we added a second floor while still operating the bookstore and cafe downstairs. This was a very crazy time, and actually I still have nightmares about it. But fortunately, Doug likes to build things. We then dove into the cinema business, showing films we hoped people would want to see. Our film programmer, Peter Henderson, has been with us since then and has been the genius behind the cinema. Finally, we expanded into the building next door, and it was there that we were able to set the stage for so many fundraisers, readings, debates, and concerts. We have been able to showcase and sponsor local arts of all kinds, and we are thrilled that our adult children, Hannah, Ben, and his wife Stephanie, have been the owners for the last 5 years and are committed to steering this amazing arts emporium into the future. How a 5-year-old girl whose mother took her to the library every week ended up here on this stage is somewhat of a mystery. But that girl knew that books would change her life every day. She would only have to open one and the scenery of the world would change. The souls of writers and their characters would be revealed, and her understanding of life would be enhanced. You know, there have been many people recently who have prophesied the death of the book, but it is a perfect amalgam of form and content. I do believe that books will live on. In closing, I would like to say that one day you can actually mind your own business in the best possible way, in a way that lines up with your deepest values. And along the way, you must also mind your loved ones, mind your friends, mind your passions, and most of all, mind our most precious gift, Mother Earth. The world is an amazing place. Be involved, be collaborative, keep your curiosity kindled, be citizens of the world, and you definitely won't be sorry. Big hugs and congratulations to each of you who are graduating today. And now I'm very pleased to introduce my energetic co-conspirator, Doug Manette.
I'm a little bit taller. Wow. When I withdrew from the University of Guelph in 1973, I had decided to seek my fortune by starting a modest retail bookshop with Barb. Like many others in that era, we were naive idealists embarking on an adventure. I had no idea that I was actually entering a top secret University of Guelph Doctor of Laws honoris causa program. Here we are 45 years later. We love books. It's obvious from Barbara, but neither of us knew anything about the book business. We love bookshops, but neither of us had ever worked in retail, much less a bookshop. What on earth were we thinking? We needed books, we needed a shop, we needed customers. How were we to figure out a Byzantine book industry supply chain where fast was very slow? Remember, this was 1973. And where distribution was a merry-go-round. I recognized early on that my role would be form Barb's content. As the son of a physicist, I was relentlessly logical, sort of. To better understand our prospects, I built a financial spreadsheet. In those days, a large green piece of paper with columns that one filled with pencil marks, and then were added up with a noisy mechanical calculator. Think the technology of Charles Dickens. Personal computers wouldn't come until 7 years later. After a careful review of my big piece of paper, the books on our personal bookshelves, our tiny budget, and brief discussions with a small number of bookselling and publishing people, with great trepidation, we launched. Birth is difficult. Many here can attest to the fact that the first 8 months, okay, all of it, are terrifying. We were so ecstatic to make it through a full 9 months and our first Christmas rush that we collapsed and closed the shop, not just for Boxing Day, but for the entire week after Christmas. Did I say previously we had no experience in retail? So those early years saw the transition from a wing and a prayer to a shop that was learning to follow the collective curiosities of many. We thought that running a bookshop was about the books, but we learned that it was about the relationship between the books and the community. I recall in particular the voracious curiosity of landscape architecture students spending all their time and budgets on arcane, expensive tomes on just about anything but what they were supposed to be pulling all-nighters for. One discovers early on that easy years in retail are few. By 1975, we were faced with the prospect of our first drastic contraction. Guelph's new regional mall turned downtown Guelph into a ghost town within weeks. We had 3 options: hope to ride things out, close, or do something crazy. With doubt all around, we decided on crazy, building Canada's first bookshop restaurant. This became a pattern for Barb and me when we encountered challenges. One of the bookshelf's first customers was Dr. J.L. Hunt, a U of G physics professor and wonderfully opinionated Renaissance man who was born here. Jim's here with us today. Jim and those LA students were the beginning of our crash course in bookselling, but also in Guelph. It is one thing to offer for sale what publishers in London, New York, and Toronto are pitching that season. Quite another to discover the fascinating veins that your community is mining. These relationships are what drove Barb and me to keep choosing crazy. As the title of a delightful baseball book by Mark Kingwell suggests, we wanted to fail better, a useful concept, not just in baseball. We have been fortunate to have remarkable families and friends who gave us support even when they thought our next plan was nuts, like building a cinema and bar on the roof of a bookshop and restaurant without closing it, or launching Canada's first online bookshop. But Barb and I haven't been married for years, but our deep commitment for people and things we care about has never wavered. So one comment I make is learn early what is important and expand on it. In my case, that meant learning about the restaurant business, the world of cinema, computer system design, and involvement in Canadian, American, and international book industry organizations where I both volunteered and acted as a consultant. It also meant working with the city, this university, and the community. So another important thing, I think, is discover your partners and then work with them. The bookshelf has been happy to share Guelph with this fine university. Special moments abound in that relationship. Alistair Summerlee interviewing Salman Rushdie and the collaboration in Cafés Scientifiques, to name a couple. It also featured Jim Hunt, cramming optics and electronics basics into the bookshelf cinema's first crop of projectionists. And now, 30 years after that cram course, I'm happy to offer congratulations to Jim on the publication of his new book on anamorphic art. For those of you in the room, there are a couple examples of Jim's anamorphic art on the campus, and I encourage you to see them. They're quite amazing. An apt description of my career can be lifted from Robertson Davies' concept of fifth business. And I quote, "Those roles which, being neither those of hero nor heroine, confidant nor villain, but which were nonetheless essential to bring about the recognition or the denouement of the play or opera. I have always loved this notion and embraced that role, fifth business." So in closing, I'd say discover your role, stay steadfast, and when in doubt, dare to choose crazy. Congratulations to you graduates, and thanks to the University of Guelph, its faculty, staff, and students for this honor and all the years of your support. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I'm Charlotte Yates. I'm the Vice President, Academic and Provost of the University of Guelph. First of all, let me take this opportunity to say thank you, Barb and Doug Minette. Those remarks were not just inspiring, but I think it makes me want to start again. The risk-taking, the excitement, the scariness, all just sounds so awesome. So imagine what your life will be in the years to come. But this is the moment I have a feeling all these graduates are waiting for. Would I ask the graduates to please rise? Madam Chancellor, I have the honor to present to you these scholars who have fulfilled the statutory requirements laid down by the Senate of the University of Guelph, that they may be admitted to their various and several degrees.
By virtue of the authority vested in me and in the University of Guelph, I hereby accept you for admission to your various and several degrees, with all the rights, privileges, and obligations appertaining thereto.
Thank you. Will members of the graduating class please be seated?
My name is Samantha Brennan. I'm Dean of the College of Arts, and I'm going to begin by asking you a favor. I know you're here mostly because you're excited about one particular person who's graduating, but I'm going to ask you to hold your applause until each group of graduates has passed through the stage. Madam Chancellor and Mr. President, I have the honor to present to you these scholars from the College of Arts that they may be admitted to the degree of Doctor of Philosophy. Vedran Guravohak. Okay, oh, sorry. I did. Sorry, I did. It's okay, it's okay. Brian LaFresna. Right. Okay. Ian Patrick McHugh. Kimberly Michelle Sider. Marion Michelle Toledo Candelaria. Please join me in congratulating the doctoral students. Madam Chancellor, Mr. President, I have the honor to present to you these scholars from the College of Arts that they may be admitted to the degree of Master of Arts. Mary Ruth Booth. Kelly Margaret Ann Doig. Joshua Doyle Razzo. Sonia Gallardo Gonzalez. Shane George Norris Hubbard. Abigail Marie Agnes McDonald Kruger. Claire Noel Milligan. Amy Marie Poole. Bryn Elizabeth Thompson. Juan Sebastian Toro. Natasha Vismark. Please join me in congratulating the master's students. Madam Chancellor, Mr. President, I have the honor to present to you these scholars from the College of Arts that they may be admitted to the degree of Bachelor of Arts Honors. Patricia Abdullah. Liliana Aliovic. Chelsea Janelle Armstrong. Dylan J. Armstrong. Rebecca Atkinson. Quinn Baker. Julia Elizabeth Mary Barclay. Alba Barty. Bronte Karen Beggs. Jordan Bell. Sarah Elizabeth Bennett. With distinction. Jacqueline Marie Barrow. Anna Marie Bernanz with distinction. Isabel Christiane Brandt with distinction. Ethan Daniel Brazeau, Madeline Elizabeth Brennan. Kyle Campanelli. Graydon Elliott Wallace Campbell. Melissa Helena Carboni. Callie Marie Cargo Froome with distinction. Lara Jane Carlton with distinction. Samantha Nicole Chasty. Matteo Cimarello with distinction. Natalie Clark. Erin Cole. Sarah Ann Conway. Madigan Cotterill with distinction. Paulo Santa Maria Marta da Rocha. Rachel Joyce Beverly Del Palm with distinction. In Innerdeep, Cara Dillon. Nora Zena Downer. Jacqueline Jean Dubé. Elizabeth Victoria Durn. Shelby Annie Edwards. Sherry Renee Engelhart with distinction. Louise Duhill Enns. Nikki Catherine Ferrero with distinction. Jack Fisher. Savannah Victoria Fita with distinction. Madison Rosemary Furtado. Jacob Timothy Gilmore. Sarah Giro Kennedy with distinction. Riley John Stephen Goltz with distinction. Oliver Marshall Goodison Powell with distinction. Arlene Carice Maria Gopal Singh. Jade Alexandra Marie Gordon. Braden Robert Gruber. Matthew Johann Geisbers. Stephanie Rose Haley. Jacob Harwood. Taylor Danielle Hayes. Elizabeth Ann Hearn. Colin Barry Ivan Hepburn with distinction. Jessica Francis Ingoldsby. Eve Coleman Jang. Dallas Michael Jokic. Kathleen Denise Jorgensen. Elizabeth Hannah Kane. Carlin Marissa Caterberg with distinction. Madeline Fidesz Crooker with distinction. Danielle Louise Carol Laforette with distinction. Emily Daniel Lalonde. Megan Alana Lapierre with distinction. Corey John Douglas Lavery. Logan Little. Spencer Patrick Lott. Natasha Shipley Lundy with distinction. Cassandra McLennan. Emily Augusta Mann. Natalia Alandra Martinez. Jack William McCart with distinction. Catherine Ann McGregor with distinction. Laurel Ann McLeod. Michelle Lynn Miranda. Christina May Molinaire with distinction. Maxwell Hayward Mowbray. Kendra Ann Murphy. Diana Narayanan with distinction. Adam Charles Herman Newton with distinction. Leon Joseph DeLonghi Obrankafos. Amelia Beatrice Taylor Pear. Aidan Alexander Paskanoff. Russell George Picard. Dara Shosanna Eisen Poisner with distinction. Tatiana Lily Pollock. Tristan Allen Bryce. James Prigioni. Zachary Reed. Anthony Charles Ritz. Kelsey Lauren Rydell with distinction. Victoria Gale Scott with distinction. Paulina Simonich with distinction. Natalie Paulina Rose Sisson with distinction. Theodora Smith. Heather Smith. Victoria Helen Smith. Shannon Diane Stepetic. Jeanette Streeter. Nadia Tay. Leslie Selena Thompson. Kate Elizabeth Safatinos. Tess Victoria Urbanski. Jocelyn Michelle Van Eken. Alexis Vickers. Jillian May Walkinshaw. Alex Wall with distinction. Jordan Walters with distinction. Claire Rowley Webster. Stephanie Hope West with distinction. Lauren Jean Wood. Natalie Zadanek. Can we clap for, did we clap this group? Should we clap that one? Oh, right, okay. Tamara Erin Abrams. Okay, join me in clapping. Madam Chancellor, Mr. President, I have the honor to present to you these scholars from the College of Arts that they may be admitted to the degree of Bachelor of Arts General. Ian Anderson. Colton Addison Barker. Katie Clara Beckett. Heidi Ann Bergerman. Natan Bowden. Matthew Liam Campbell. Melanie Alana Kaplan. Roderick Chan. Savannah Chartrand Doyle. Samantha Gwendolyn Clark. Elizabeth Ann Donovan. Sheena Dubé. Danilo Duca. Davith Owen Evans. Victoria Rodriguez Gazzaloni. Sarah Nicole Gizel. Amitaj Singh Gill. Andrew Grant. Charlotte Morgan Heath. Soleil Howe. Nicholas Robert Dandria Hurd. Michelle Katharina Angus. Wolfgang Maximilian Kaufman. Amy Victoria Langford. Levi Lindsay. Wei Lu. Holly Diane Lawrence. Anika Sonia Huzinga Matthews. Jillian Rose McCormick. Alicia Murray. Jenna Lynn Patty. Haley Ann Palmer. Matthew Robert Joseph Parent. Shane Blair Pinkerton. Emma Postons. Luke Maxwell Ricker. Emma Elizabeth Rosman. Kathleen Elizabeth Stennett with distinction. Claire Elizabeth Stewart. Katie Selena Lorraine Stokes. Spencer William Stubbins. Michael Robert Tillman. Nishka Sarah Turner. Catherine Ann Adams. Okay, join me in clapping for applauding this group of students. Oh, it's okay. Madam Chancellor, Mr. President, I have the honor to present to you these scholars from the College of Arts that they be admitted to the degree of Bachelor of Arts in Science. Farhana Kareem Adacha. Leila Alibabaya with distinction. Lena Rose Marjorie Anderson. Claire Rosalind Arquette with distinction. Annalise Jane Baker with distinction. Eric Aimé Boucher. Amanda Dawn Boyce. Sydney David Brajak. Megan Kennedy Burgess. Janelle Maria Caetano with distinction. Jillian Marcia Canvan. Bianca Continenza. Antonio Florence de Groot. Alexis Marie Dempsey with distinction. Gabrielle Marie Dion. Carlina I. Jacqueline Marie Farr. Jordy Fisher with distinction. Robert Alexander Freed. Nicole Fergala. Loveline Carr Gill with distinction. Eamon Neil Joseph Gogan. Brooke Ashley Green. Stephanie Brooke Keeler. Min Jung Kim. Jordan Melissa Klein with distinction. Haley Megan Lamb with distinction. Jade Allison Langell with distinction. Rachel Jacqueline Therese LaRose. Dana Sarah Diane Main with distinction. Hannah Julia Kestenbaum Markovitz. Emily Margaret Morris. Lucy Amick Young Newman Hogan with distinction. Sandra Nyman with distinction. Samantha Rachel Pascal with distinction. Miriam Philippi. Jaron C.M. Pintana with distinction. Lucy Porter with distinction. Caitlin Alexandra Ranft. Olivia Sue Reichert. Samantha Rose Rutherford with distinction. Tiffany Nicole Skur with distinction. Caitlin Brianne Spires. Taylor Johanna Timmons. Sarah Kiriata and Simonides with distinction. Lauren Ann Vanderlingen with distinction. Brandy Lynn Van Hoof with distinction. Lily Eduarda Ventura. Alyssa Voigt with distinction. Ellen Rachel Weiss with distinction. Kira Lynn Weens with distinction. Rachel Joy Yatling Wong with distinction. Stephanie Marie Zaremba. And now we congratulate this group of students.
Should be fine. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Byron Sheldrick, and I have the privilege of serving as the Associate Dean Academic for the College of Social and Applied Human Sciences. Madam Chancellor, Mr. President, I have the honor to present to you these scholars from the College of Social and Applied Human Sciences that they may be admitted to the degree of Bachelor of Arts Honors. Ashley Melissa Abrams. Christy Lee Allen, with distinction. Alessia Maria Barone. Jessica Bast. Sofia Becerra Padilla, with distinction. Nicole Taylor Bird. Olivia Renee Brooks, with distinction. Shaylin Marion Patricia Bush, with distinction. Eden Rose Champagne, with distinction. We love that. Alexi Marie Chuck. Alicia Simony. Nicole Elizabeth T. Clendening. Megan Courtney Corbett, with distinction. Jared McGregor Court, with distinction. Marie Valerie Dallin. Haley DeVries. Laura Aaron Dickey. Jacob Michael Dawson. Alessandra Josephine Dugan. Sarah Dulise. Caitlin Duncan, with distinction. Madeline T. Ferrero. Caitlin Tanner Haday. Lauren Elizabeth Hancock. Nicole Eleni Karagianis. Taylor Elizabeth Kingdon, with distinction. Caitlin Legros, with distinction. Bianca Locum. Daniel Maria Lyle. Oh. Candace Catherine Lynn, with distinction. Melinda McKinnon. William Michael McKinnon. Kathleen Sarah McLaren, with distinction. Danielle Lucia McNabb, with distinction. Victoria Margaret McNaught, with distinction. Huda Mohammed. Anna Catherine Morris. Madison Osborne Myers. Katie Michelle O'Mara, with distinction. Marissa Eva Parsons. Emma Passianato. Nicole Marie Palazzari. Brianna Lee Piccolotto, with distinction. James Alexander Portorero. Robin Elizabeth Quinn. Kirsten Victoria Radcliffe. Alexandra Katerina Ricalis. Amanda Mary Robbins. Mitchell Mackenzie Robinson. Kristen Ann Spadafora. Jessica Louise Tanton, with distinction. April Torrey. Rachel Elizabeth Veer. Jessica Barbara Christine White, with distinction. Alexis Beatrice Woolridge, with distinction. Barbara Sablotny. Melissa Janet Zielkowski. Please join me in congratulating this outstanding group of scholars. Madam Chancellor, Mr. President, I have the honor to present these scholars from the College of Social and Applied Human Sciences that they may be admitted to the degree Bachelor of Arts, General. Haley Lindsay Jentz. Hayden Jim. Ashley Ann Kuhn. Sloan Heather Moss. Emily Jane Pereira. Trisha Lynn Roswell. Teresa Brooke Sinclair. Daniel Mark Smith. Jenna Thorani. Kyla Shea Walsh. Please join me in congratulating this group of scholars and all of our graduates today.
Congratulations all. Madam Chancellor, I would ask you to confer the various and several degrees on the graduands listed in the program but unable to be present at this ceremony.
By virtue of the authority vested in me and in the University of Guelph, I confer the various and several degrees in absentia on the graduands not present.
Well, graduates, you did it. Congratulations. Well done. Well, great work. Let me take this opportunity to welcome all of you to the Griffin alumni family, a growing family joined today by some 700 new graduates. And as I mentioned earlier, University of Guelph alumni now number more than 167,000 grads around the world. Now, as you can imagine, we're all very, very proud of your accomplishments here at the University of Guelph and really do look forward to seeing how the foundations that you've developed here will continue to support you in the years ahead. We want to celebrate your achievements, celebrate your successes, and do hope that you will stay in touch. And remember that you're always, always welcome here. Graduates, you've made, I'm sure, many memories here at the university, including today's ceremony. And remember this as well. You are a student for a relatively short time, but you're a Griffin forever. Well done. Now this concludes our formal convocation ceremonies, and I would mention that the college deans will host a reception for all graduates and their guests on Reynolds Walk after the ceremony, just outside the front doors here. And it's a beautiful day. I encourage everyone to join in. It's the first ever alumni reception for you as new graduates. And if I could just add a few very, very final words. Of course, even as your journey today ends, another begins. And I encourage you actually to take a moment right now to savor what it feels like to be at this particular turning point, at this particular juncture and punctuation mark in your stories. From here, your journey will likely take you down many roads, and many of those roads, when you look back in time, will have begun right here at the University of Guelph. So in many ways, as you leave here today, part of you kind of remains here. You'll find yourselves back on campus from time to time, perhaps for a reunion or other gathering. And each time you return will be an opportunity to reconnect, to reflect, and to recharge, and maybe even reharness some of the enthusiasm and anticipation and eagerness, and yes, even some of that nervous energy that you're all probably feeling right now. So remember to come back, or at least to keep in touch, even if only to check in on that part of yourself that always remains here. I invite again everyone to attend the reception, and now, as tradition has it, the final word is from our Chancellor. Thank you.
Convocation is dismissed.
Congratulations, everyone. We hope that you'll enjoy time with your family and friends, get lots of photos while you've got them here and in your gowns. And then we're going to ask a small favor of you, because the next group wants to look as good as you. When you're done doing that, please return your gowns and hoods to the older part of the building out to my left, and you'll see signs to get you there. We invite you to come back often, visit, and share what you're doing with your lives. And I'm going to ask you this time to turn it up one more time. You did it. Woo! And now you're dismissed.